Hi, everybody, and welcome to Take a Deep Breath. This is a Sunday release podcast. I'm releasing this now because I interviewed Lisa Lee yesterday, and she's got a breathing ceremony out tomorrow being Monday, the 20th of July. So I'll put all the descriptions to everything below. So she asked if we could get that out now. So if you wanted to join her course, you could do her ceremony. A couple of bits about the podcast, Breathcast. This is available also on all good iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast audibly as well, you can do that. We've done quite a few recordings this weekend, so I've got quite a few guests coming up over the next couple of weeks as well. And without further ado, I'll hand over. Before I do, I'll just say we belong together. Anyway, over to the Breathcast. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Breathcast podcast on Take a Deep Breath. Today's guest is Lisa Lee, who I first met after a conversation with a chap in the sauna near my local gym who said, yeah, if you're into breath work, you have to try and get into one of Lisa's classes. And we'll talk about that, I'm sure, as we go through. So Lisa, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Good. Yeah, really good.
Really good. And so great. Thank you for making the time to be with us today. For those that don't know of you, could you just explain a bit about who you are and what you do?
Well, my name's Lisa Lee. I've been known as for a while. So I'm running something called the breath ceremony, which I've kind of put together from studying different types of breath work over the years and shamanic practices. So the breath ceremony I've been traveling the world with for maybe 4 or 5 years, mainly in big psytrance festivals and then in random cities across the world, doing group sessions and private sessions. So that's who I am.
Fantastic, thank you. And I'm really keen to know a bit about your history. So how did you get involved with breathwork? What was your kind of first experience with breathing?
So breathwork for me, I guess I found it in the middle of a sort of journey to try and feel better for myself. Okay, so I knew that I didn't feel right growing up. I felt really like something just didn't feel right. I just didn't know how to sort of feel good. And it was before everyone was addicted to the self-help and spirituality scene. I just felt pretty sort of confused as to why I didn't feel good. So sort of mid-20s, I went off traveling. I started doing Bikram yoga, and I traveled all around the world, India, Thailand, studying different yoga, lots of meditation. And I decided to do my yoga teacher training in Bali. So in the middle of the yoga teacher training, my teacher, Daniel Aaron, he got us all to do a breath session. So it was transformational breath, was the first breath session that I ever did. So we did a group, and he came over to me at the beginning and he said to me, he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "This is going to be really powerful for you." So I don't know how he knew that, but it was. And I just remember the feeling of really trying to let go. And then when I did let go, my lungs expanded to what felt like a normal sized breath that I perhaps had never experienced before. Like I didn't realize just how shut down my lungs, my breathing, and my body was. So I just remember this feeling of just like, wow, like that's what it feels like to breathe. And I was just so excited about the possibilities with breathwork that I kind of threw the yoga off and then dove into breathwork. I was living in Australia at the time, so then I ended up doing some private sessions and just really exploring breathwork with my own body, sort of combined with what I'd learned in yoga, in meditation, in healing. So I studied that, and then I just went on a long journey of studying transformational breath a little bit in Thailand at the sanctuary, and then eventually doing a teacher training with Daniel Aaron, which was a combination of breath works. And then I found biodynamic breath and then continued with that. But yeah, I mean, breath work, it's definitely something that I was meant to do. I mean, I always struggled with the breath from a child because I had asthma.
Right.
You know, it's hilarious that the thing that I study and do and teach people is the very thing that, you know, has been such a hindrance to me growing up. So yeah, I mean, I could talk for hours about how it all relates, but yeah.
Fantastic. Wow. What a journey. And I spent a little bit of time in Bali last year, in Ubud. Only maybe a month, but lovely place, fantastic
Yeah.
people. Did a lot of breathing classes there as well. So really enjoyed that area. There's definitely an energy or something going on there. For those that don't know then, could you just tell us a little bit about what's biodynamic? What's biodynamic breath work?
Well, biodynamic breathwork is the modality that I ended up getting my qualification in. It was developed by a guy called Gitan Tolkov, and there's some really amazing teachers within biodynamic breath. So I learned a lot from studying with those guys over the space of about 4 or 5 years. So biodynamic breathwork is essentially using the breath work, which is in pretty much all the different modalities, the connected breathing, but then they also use body work. So you're kind of, I don't know if you've heard of bioenergetics. So yeah, he combines bioenergetics, body work, breath work, all the things that Gitan learned into biodynamic breath work. So this is the thing, you know, a lot of what we're doing right now with breath is so new, that there's so many different ways of doing it, because, you know, each individual has their own journey, which they've learned all these different techniques, and you can just play with combining them and just seeing, you know, how it affects the body. So yeah, biodynamic breath I really enjoyed because it combines body work as well. So
Oh, that sounds really interesting. And the course that I did, well, not course, the class I did with you, I think it was around November. That was an hour of deep breathing. Was that biodynamic? Was that something else that we did? What did we do? Can you remember?
well, what I do is the breath ceremony. So I basically combine different styles of breath work, but I do it in a way that I'm really trying to teach you how to heal yourself, you know, because I really think that at this stage we need to be able to understand what's going on in our bodies, how to shift energy, how to alchemize different emotions. I think that we can't be relying on somebody else to save us, you know, to some healer. I think that some of the healing practices can be quite like disempowering, because you're going to somebody who's going to do all this work on you, and then you become reliant on it. You know, you need to go again once every couple of weeks because your energy feels weird. You know, what I aim to do with the breath ceremony is to teach people how to do this work themselves, you know, and I guide them with my voice and sort of program them to know what to do and how to breathe into things and to get the energy to shift. But really, yeah, it's more teaching people so that they can find their own strength, and pretty much do the breath work for themselves, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's very different to biodynamic breath because yeah, you're doing everything yourself. You don't need anybody else there. I'm teaching you and guiding you, and the more you sort of do the breath ceremony, you pick up little things, you know, because there's so much to learn as well. So you're not going to get it all in one session. So, you know, each time you come, hopefully you're learning more and getting more, you know, ideas on how to work through different things within the body, how to release different tensions. So yeah, it's a journey that that you learn more and yeah, sort of work with your own body, with your own energy.
Yeah, I had a really good time. So I took your your class, like I say, around November, I think it was, in Newark, which is north Leicestershire way, almost Melton Mowbray. And it was a really lovely yoga place. And you guys had set the environment up so well. I remember we came in, and there's, we kind of all gathered around the bar area, and we had a cup of herbal tea. And then you kind of welcomed us in, and there's some sage burning, and there's, oh, this is nice. There's some candles, and we all had our places. I think it's maybe about 10, 15 of us, I can't remember the exact amount. And we did the breathing for about an hour. And my breathing background was more Wim Hof-esque, so I was used to having these retentions. I've never really just done an hour of deep breathing before. And it was a new experience for me. And we did some, I think, banging on the pillows. And I just remember at one point just feeling really happy. I know some people had some emotional releases, and I've had those emotional releases, but previously, so I don't think I had any kind of trauma to come out at that point or anything, but I definitely had this overwhelming sense of I don't know, love and happiness and gratitude. But there was one point, I can't remember if it was you or one of your helpers. It was just at the right point. I'm there and I'm breathing, and it's maybe, I don't know, 40 minutes in, and somebody just kind of put their arm on my shoulder, and it just came at the right moment as well. So whatever you could see or they could see in me at that moment, there was just kind of that physical touch, and that comfort was really nice. But I really enjoyed that. And for those, I haven't really announced this yet, but I'm going to join Lisa on her breathing class on Monday. So this is Saturday, we're recording this, the 18th. This will come out tomorrow on the 19th, and it's on the 20th. So can people get involved still with that class, Lisa, if they want to?
Yeah, sure. So I'm doing breath ceremony on Zoom, over Zoom. I've been doing this since, as soon as the lockdown went on, I was like, okay, so we shifted onto Zoom, and it's been really good to have once every 2 weeks. We do it with the full moon and with the new moon. So it's when the energies are most potent. A load of us come together and we do a breath ceremony. So you can still join. You can join right up until, we start. So it's, I think, 6 p.m. on Monday.
Yeah.
It's a 2-hour class where I'll guide you all, teach you how to do it, and then guide you through a ceremony, which is about an hour.
Fantastic. So you'll send me the description. I'll put that below in the link for people. So if they want to find you and do more, I haven't done it online yet, but I'm very excited to do so. But in class, I very much enjoyed it. And it was just another modality, another way of experiencing the breath in a different way. So no, wonderful. So what does your routine look like now then? So if I said, what does an average week or month look like for you in terms of breathing and meditation? Can you just talk us through some things that you do by yourself?
Well, average week or month, I don't even know how I could say an average, because life is not very average at the moment. We're all going through these massive shifts in energy. So really what I do is go by how I'm feeling. So at the moment, I've actually started doing a Bikram yoga class every day. So I've been doing that for the last 4 days, and I'm going to continue with that. So that's my main practice at the moment. I don't know if you know Bikram.
Not really.
So Bikram yoga, it's the very, very, very first thing that I ever did that was any kind of healing or spiritual or, yoga meditation. This was the first thing. So in London and in a lot of cities, they have Bikram yoga. It's 40-degree heat. You do 20 odd poses, and they're the same no matter where you are in the world. Bikram yoga is exactly the same. The teacher doesn't have a very good history, which I won't go into, but the actual practice is incredible because it really helps you to focus. It's like a hard physical meditation, which a lot of the poses kind of act like a tourniquet, so they restrict blood and then they allow the blood to move. So it's like a big detox and really good for getting grounded and strong in your body. So I feel personally at the moment that this is working well for me as a practice. And I mean, on YouTube, there's a lot of different teachers, so you can easily find the sequence on YouTube. So that's what I've been doing lately, and I've even recommended that to a few of my clients, because I just feel that we really need to ground at the moment and really get strong in our body and really work on that sort of self reliance and sort of inner support. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. But it really varies depending on how I'm feeling. You know, if I was to be feeling quite like heavy and lethargic and tired, maybe I would do like some kind of an Osho meditation where I'm shaking and moving the energy and some toning. Yeah, I mean, it really depends on how I'm feeling, what I would sort of do for myself. Sometimes you just need rest. But meditation is something that I've practiced for many years, and I pretty much live as much as I can in meditation, you know, where I'm really trying to be aware and conscious and breathing and feeling. So, you know, I think that there becomes a point where meditation just sort of becomes your life if you do it that often. So, but I still, meditate probably a couple of times a day as well.
Wow. So somebody like me, I'm on this computer probably 10 hours a day at the minute, because I've got a full-time day job plus the YouTube stuff. So what would you say to people that don't meditate at all at the minute? What would be some good practices to maybe start getting into that kind of world of giving yourself some headspace? Any kind of suggestions?
I tell you what, Deepak Chopra does 21-day meditation. I don't know how he calls it, 21-day meditation sessions or something like this, and you can buy them. I think he does them free a couple of times a year as well. I would suggest maybe start with something like this, because especially if you're so busy, this is just a beautiful way to just pop your headphones on. You can do it in bed. You don't even have to be sitting, you know, just to give yourself that time to listen to his voice, and he will guide you into a meditation. And it's just a super simple way of starting to practice your sort of balancing your mind. I would suggest probably doing that, because sometimes you can just sit and it ends up being more traumatic, you know, than not doing it, because it's not so simple just to sit and then meditate. You know, we have a lot of stuff going on. So with the Deepak Chopra meditations, he's really soothing. There's music, and it's a lot about, you know, focusing on beautiful things and feeling good. Yeah. So I would say start with that. And then 21 days is setting you up for a habit. So.
Okay, right. Yeah, I'll have a look at that. Last year I got accepted onto a 10-day meditation retreat in Indonesia. I can't remember what the place was called now, but then I just couldn't make my travel plans align with it, which it's probably my biggest regret actually of traveling last year. I didn't go and do that. And probably, to be fair, I was a bit scared as well about just having 10 days of my own mind. But I feel like I've got almost like a calling to go and do that at some point. I just feel like I need to spend some time by myself. Have you ever experienced anything to that degree or similar?
Is it Vipassana that you're talking about?
Possibly, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, so I mean, I did Vipassana in Thailand, I don't even know how many years ago, at Wat Suam Mok, which is a Buddhist, like a monastery, I guess. And so I mean, I always wanted to do Vipassana. I'd heard about it. I think that doing Vipassana made me really learn how to meditate. You know, before that I was meditating or thinking I was meditating, but I think that, doing Vipassana is great for everyone. If everyone in the planet did Vipassana, we'd be looking at a completely different planet, because you really do face the reality of like how you're seeing things and how, you know, all these like unresolved stories from our past and, you know, sort of grudges that we hold, or, you know, like different arguments that we haven't really like come to peace with. You know, these things affect us so deeply that we project it onto our world. So doing something like Vipassana really helps you to, first of all, see where you're at, and then process through a lot of these things. So I always remember, the first time when I did my Vipassana in Thailand, when I first sat, because you do 10 days in silence, sitting, meditating.
Wow.
So the first day I sat there, I opened up my eyes and looked around, and it's just a plain, like a plain meditation hall. There's no pictures, there's nothing, just plain, everything's plain. And then you look outside and it's just sort of a field going back and some palm trees because we're in Thailand, but everything is so plain, okay? And I just remember opening my eyes and thinking, oh my God, this looks like the killing fields of Cambodia. That's how it felt to me.
Yeah.
So stark and so barren. And then by the end of it, it was like paradise. You wouldn't believe how it shifted just from my own perception, and I worked through, because essentially all you're doing is breathing and feeling. It's much like breath work. That's that's why I love breath work, because I love meditation, and it's the same. So you're just breathing and feeling. And I was quite surprised at what came up, because it was like some arguments that I had with an ex-boyfriend, a friend, and I just wasn't expecting those things to come up, but it really showed me like the pain that was kind of stuck in my body from these experiences. So, I had to sort of let my body process it. So it was just really things that had happened to me in the previous 2 years that came up in them 10 days. But the amount of space and light and well-being that I felt from just doing those 10 days was incredible. And like I say, I looked around by the end and it was just like a tropical paradise.
Yeah. You almost didn't want to leave by the end of it, by the sounds of it.
No, it was amazing. And really at the start, I really was like, if I have to do this for another 9 days, I'm going to go crazy. So, it really does force you to, it really forced me to be present with everything. So everything became a meditation, because as soon as I would let my mind think of, I can't speak for another 10 days, then it was just too overwhelming. So I just had to break it down into the moment. So everything I'm picking up, I'm with it, because I couldn't think outside of that moment, or else it was just too overwhelming.
Wow. It's fascinating. Do you think that is something you would do again, or is it kind of for you, do you know what, I did it and that was enough, it got me to where I need to get to?
Well, I mean, I'm quite like a bit sort of really into all this kind of stuff. So for me, doing that Vipassana, for example, when I left the Vipassana, I ended up doing my own Vipassana, because I felt the benefits, and I was very open coming out of the Vipassana. And then when some challenge came into my life, maybe a week or two later, I felt it really hard. Like something happened and I took it really hard. And I felt very hurt by the situation, more than I usually would. So I was like, whoa, I guess because I was more open. And so at the time I was in Australia, then New Zealand, and then I came back to England, and I hadn't managed to properly process this pain. So I decided to then put myself in my own Vipassana. So I then did Goenka style, which I studied about and then took myself through. So the one that I did in Thailand was more, you're in silence, you're meditating, you're learning about Buddhism, but you're also having the experience of being a monk. So you're sleeping on a concrete bed.
Wow.
You have a wooden pillow, and you don't eat after midday. So you had these other things which were challenges, but then another style of Vipassana, which I think is the original style, is called Goenka. So Goenka Vipassana is, you're basically scanning your body, and it's really intense. You're not allowed to move. They're very strict. So whereas the monk one that I did was challenging in different ways, but the Goenka style, they literally would be watching you so that you don't move. So I kind of decided to do that style of meditation because I really felt like there was traumas coming up that needed to be processed. So I put myself into my own Vipassana. I was staying with my parents at the time, and they must have thought I was totally crazy because I was like, just leave my food outside the door, just walk like I'm meditating, and they'd be like, what the hell? But yeah, doing that, I realized, and I mean, I researched it first, that Vipassana can be traumatic because if you have PTSD, it can be too much. So, you know, the same with anything, we want to go into the discomfort and feel it, but then we have to soothe ourselves as well. There's no point in just like pushing, because the human body is very like complex, and it needs love, and it needs soothing, you know, and nourishment. So how I was doing it was I was sitting for say half an hour, breathing and feeling and scanning my body, and then I would have a bath, and then, you know, just keep going between the two. So, you know, I probably wouldn't, sorry, this is a really long answer to your question. I probably wouldn't do Vipassana again, just because, I mean, maybe I would do it again, but I probably wouldn't, because I know I've done that, and I think that it's not pushing myself, you know?
Yes, yeah.
So if you did the Goenka style, which is 10 days, if you did that once, you can go again for 4 days. But because I didn't start with that one, I would have to do a 10 days. And to find 10 days to go do it, I don't know. I'm pretty busy.
You know, it's interesting hearing you talk, because I think people have a tendency, and I was definitely guilty of this, to almost see that as a bit cinematic. Oh, I'm going to go off and have a retreat for 10 days. And I think that's probably where my head was at the time. So actually thinking back now, I probably wasn't in the right headspace to go off and do that at that time. No. And probably I'm not now either, but I think it's still something that I just feel like I need to put myself through a version of that at some point, because I'm very good at keeping myself very busy, which is not always a good thing. And so I'm working really hard now to try and have some more time in nature. Went for a nice walk for a couple of hours earlier, just in the local park, and just try to be around trees and stuff more. So it was very, very interesting to hear you talk. And I think it was a Vipassana retreat north of Jakarta in Indonesia. It was up that kind of side of the island. So, fascinating. So move it on a little bit then. What do people get from coming to your class? What are the benefits, and what are the reasons why people come to see you?
Well, the benefits are really just endless. You know, it's really difficult because every single human has a completely different story. So no two humans are going to get the same thing. So that's the beauty of breathwork. Like, really, it's limitless. So, I mean, people may come because they're struggling with some emotions. Maybe they're going through something and they need to have a space where they can process. It could be that they're struggling to feel emotions and they don't know why. You know, we can create like a energetic armoring around ourselves so that we can literally not be able to feel, because maybe we've had our hearts hurt so many times. So we can create like a armoring to protect ourselves. So, you know, again, everybody's in a completely different, you know, sort of state. So it could be that they're coming to be able to feel. It could be a million different reasons. You know, breathwork is really great for everyone on this planet, because we are going through a shift. Yes, we're in different waves, we're in different stages. But yeah, breathwork is just a super powerful way of just clearing our energy and just giving ourselves a reset. So that can look so different. I mean, like you say, for your session, it was pure joy and you felt really good. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, a big trauma release. It can just be, you know, managing your energy. And yeah, I mean, there's many ways to do it. And breathwork is one of the ways.
Yeah, that was fascinating. Have you seen any sort of shift with breathwork over the last couple of years? Because I feel like it just seems to be getting bigger and bigger. Have you seen something similar to that?
I mean, yeah, it has become more popular. I thought you were going to say how breathwork has changed over the past couple of years, because it has. It's become a lot more sensitive, actually. Like the people, we don't need to go as hard as we once did. Maybe when I was back doing my training, you wouldn't believe how hard some of the teachers were on my body, we were on each other, because it was more trying to get in there and get it out, you know, because it was so deeply suppressed. Whereas now, people are waking up, you know. I know it sounds so cheesy and everybody's, you know, laughing, waking up, but it's true. We are waking up in consciousness. So we're becoming more sensitive anyway. You know, so again, it depends on the person, but yeah, breath work is a lot more sensitive than it used to be. But yeah, it's definitely become more popular. I think that Wim Hof has a lot to do with that. And, you know, people like me and other breath workers who've relentlessly just been sharing it. You know, when I first started with the breath ceremony about 5 years ago, I used to have to beg friends to try this thing. And, you know, that was how it started. Whereas now, yeah, everybody is hearing about breath work. It's like the new yoga.
Yes. Yeah. It's funny because I had my first experience in 2016, and that was doing the Wim Hof breathing, but we did it for about an hour and a half, something like that. And I've shared this before on the podcast, but I had these moments of joy. There's 20 of us doing it. And I can only describe it. And again, it sounds a bit cheesy, but it's like almost like a collective consciousness was going on, because we all started laughing about the same time. And then a little bit later on, somebody started crying, and we were all in tears. And I remember thinking, I'm not even sad, but I kind of feel connected to this person. And we had a big hug afterwards, all 20 of us, and it really brought us together. It was again, it's weird talking it back, because I'm telling it as a memory now, but at the time it was a lot deeper, a lot more, you know, powerful, resonated with me so much. And I got a glimpse of it actually yesterday. I was doing some breathing yesterday. I was trying a new breathing technique, and I was doing it similar to Wim Hof, in through the nose, but in through the nose this time, I should say. And again, I was brought back to something yesterday where big visualizations, colors, and it was only a 20-minute exercise, but at the end of it, I was in a completely different state. And I'm going to put it on the podcast because I was doing it with an instructor, so it'll be on in a couple of weeks. But you'll see that from kind of 20 minutes ago, where I was kind of in interview mode and got my pen and I'm having a chat and making notes. 20 minutes later, I'm just so chilled and relaxed. And it was like I've been on a bit of a vacation, a bit of a holiday. It was a wonderful experience. And it's just, even though I'm surrounded by breath work and talk about breath work and do breath work, every now and again, something will just happen. It'll just remind you how powerful it is. It's such a wonderful experience. Do you still have those sort of moments yourself? Do you, or because you're in it all the time, is it less frequent for you? How does it work in terms of those really powerful moments with breathing?
Oh, I mean, you know, the power of the breath to shift our sense of feeling is just amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is something that I'm kind of striving for on a daily basis, to feel good, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's not that often that I do get to have a breath session, you know, with other people, but yeah, the little bits of breath work and stuff that I do, same with the Bikram, I am trying to get that feeling, you know, of relaxation, of feeling whole, of feeling connected to who we are, and sort of letting go of all the noise and the distractions, and and just coming back to home.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the more you do breath work, I guess, the more you sort of expand that sensation and you try to live within it, rather than it just being something that you kind of go back and forth from, you know. So having a daily practice can obviously help with that connection. Does that make sense to you?
It does, yeah, it does. And I also find that the more you do breath work, you're right, there is that kind of general sensation that you get. But for example, if you did Wim Hof breathing every day, you're not going to feel the same way 3 months that you did, 3 months ago, because your kind of body acclimates to it a little bit as
Exactly,
well. So there's definitely some benefits in balance, I think, with these sort of things as well, where if you leave it alone for a little bit and then come back to it again when you feel the need, that can be more powerful than doing it every single day. So I know it's different for every single person. Out of interest, have you tried cold exposure? Have you done anything with the cold?
It's so funny because I was going to just ask you if you did the bath thing with Wim Hof.
Yeah.
I haven't done it myself, but cold showers, definitely, I was going to say that, that's a really easy way of just getting yourself in your body, breathing. Just stick the shower on to cold, freezing cold, like before you get out, and just have a breathe and just make some sounds.
Yeah.
So that's like a really easy way. I mean, I've done a little bit of cold swimming, but I haven't done the ice bath. Have you done?
I have, several times. So during the week's course in 2016 with Wim, on day one, you're in his house in Poland in his ice bath at night, and it's a terrifying experience. I'm careful how I use these words, but you almost feel a bit reborn. You go in there and you feel like you die, and you come back again, and great experience. And over that week we did it every single day, and by day 5 we're climbing up a mountain for 4 hours just in shorts at -5, and it's one of those things that now that I've had a taste of it, I still continue to do it. So last winter I was in Poland, find a nice frozen lake, have a little dip in there, and it's the anticipation of it. You get a lot of anxiety maybe, and adrenaline, but on the flip side, when you're in it, you're present. And when you come out of the water, you have to experience this kind of tranquil relaxation. But you can just sit in the cold, soaking wet on a rock, and you just feel amazing. And you just spend a few minutes, and it's incredible. What's a bizarre feeling though is when it's really cold, you lose the feeling in your feet, and that's such a bizarre feeling, because when you put your trousers back on again, it's like you've got these lumps of meat down there. So that in itself is an interesting experience. But I would highly recommend, if you get the opportunity to get into probably Eastern Europe-esque, where it's a little bit cheaper for us, and also you've got beautiful nature, beautiful mountains, and there's just so many places where you can just go into the cold and into the nature, and it's a deeply powerful experience. Highly recommend it. And it just reminded me of what you said then, which was you feel like you're coming home. I feel like that every time I go into the cold, and then you don't combine that with the breathing exercises from Wim Hof. You do them separately, but when you do that, you might do the breathing exercise like an hour before, get yourself kind of pumped up, then you'll walk to the place, go in the cold, and it's wonderful. It's really, really wonderful. So we don't get cold enough in this country, I don't think, to do it properly. It's okay, but when you get into that water that's like 1 or 2 degrees and there's mountains all around you, it's a very different experience. So I recommend it.
Getting strong to the cold is a great tool. And I know you say we don't get that cold here, but what I've noticed is people can't handle the cold here because we're so used to the comforts, the central heating, the insulated houses, double glazing and whatever. So over the years of like working on my own energy, I definitely use the cold. Like I try to get out in the cold, go on long walks, this kind of thing. And that's such a simple way of people getting back into their body and starting to feel strong, and just noticing how we like react to the cold, we kind of contract and pull away from it, whereas we want to learn to sort of breathe into it,
Wonderful. It's it's that I forget what the exact quote was, and I forget who said it, but it's something like, get comfortable being uncomfortable, which I really like to think about that a lot. And that's true with cold, it's true with breathing, it's true with exercise, all those sorts of things. Oh, wonderful. Oh, well, hopefully get the opportunity to do some cold exposure. Deep cold exposure. Sounds like you're already doing a great job there. So talking about Monday then. So Monday's your event, your breathing event. So can you just tell us a bit more about what's going on, what time, and all that sort of stuff?
Sure. Well, so like I say, I'm doing the breath ceremonies every full moon and every new moon. So this is so that we can really start to use the energy to our benefit, okay? Because the more sensitive we're getting to these shifts in the planet, we're starting to notice, perhaps you notice yourself, like on a full moon, we feel like sometimes the energy is really intense. The new moon is a lot more sort of inward. So both are really good times for having a clear out. So on Monday, it's the new moon in Cancer. So it's the second new moon in Cancer this year. We've had like a really powerful past month of like astrologically. And this is sort of coming towards the end of it. But then we're also in another portal, which is the Lionsgate portal. I don't know if you know much about astrology, but anyway.
No.
This part of the year is super powerful and transformative. So we're right in the thick of it all. Probably a lot of people can feel it, even if they don't know about it. So Monday, yeah, again, so it's the new moon in Cancer. So we have a breath ceremony so that we can release, and then hopefully, I mean, I will guide you, and then people can, if they wish, plant seeds. New moon is about planting seeds for the future. So it's good to clear out, and then just to think what kind of energy we want to move into, what kind of life we want to build for ourselves. So that's going to be Monday 6 till 8 p.m. But yeah, it's every 2 weeks, and we've also got an extra one coming up in London, actually, on the 8th of the 8th, which is the Lionsgate portal. So we'll be doing a live one for that one, and that'll also be going out on Zoom as well. So there's a lot of ceremonies that anybody can join in just from their home, and you can just do it from your bed. You know, the benefits of doing it over Zoom is you have this like feeling of, you know, nourishment from your home. You know, this is like the place where you feel most grounded and supported, probably. So to do breath work there, in a lot of ways, I feel it's even more powerful because you don't have any worry about what other people think or hear. You know, you're on mute, nobody can hear you. You can just hear my voice and the music. So you're really free to sort of let go. So yeah, I've been really enjoying doing the Zooms, actually.
Yeah, it's a really bizarre thing, isn't it? Because before lockdown, we blamed technology for splitting us apart. But right now, if we didn't have this technology, we would feel really apart. So there's been a real interesting shift with how I perceive tech. And it's like anything, isn't it? However you use or misuse something. But right now, you know, doing this, and I've been on the Tony Robbins weekend this weekend, and that's with 20,000 other people. And you really do get a sense of the energy, as crazy as that sounds. So yeah, I was kind of like anti-tech to a degree, and now I'm starting to think, well, actually, I'm really grateful we've got things like Zoom and the internet and phones, because actually that's how I've kept in touch with friends and family and had to have these great conversations. So yeah, it's a bizarre time for all of us, I think, at the moment. So I'm looking forward to being part of that, and that's UK time for everybody. If they don't know, like I say, links will be in the description below. Anything else before we wrap up you wanted to cover?
Yeah, so just like you say, that is UK time, 6 till 8. But on the full moons, we have an extra ceremony, which is for the Australian time zone. So for anyone over in Asia or Australia, we do one on the full moon, which is like, I think it's UK time 10 till 12 midday. So anyway, you can see all of the events on the breath ceremony page on Facebook, on the events there. So yeah.
Fantastic, lovely. Last question for you then. So if somebody says to you, what can I do to improve my health? What would you, if some random person comes up to you in the street, what bit of advice might you give them?
Become aware of your breath. There you go. So,
yeah, there we go.
A lot of the time we're holding our breath, you know, we're really sort of, sort of tensing ourselves to what is around us, and a lot of it is perceived threat that's not even there. So just starting to become aware of the breath, bringing in long breaths, you know, sighing, just starting to notice that how we're breathing really does affect how we feel. So yeah, just becoming aware of taking some deep breaths and how we're breathing.
Fantastic, lovely. Lisa, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to being with you on Monday. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Leave us a comment, a like, and a subscribe. And I hope to see you on the next episode. And Lisa, once again, thanks for your time. Thanks, everybody.